So for Jan, I was going to ask you, as you hear Susan talk about, and you read it, about the story about Nadia and the funeral and learning more about that, like, you have a wonderful story, you have a great relationships, but what are some of the things and the lessons that you would like to share with those that are birth mothers to be able to help navigate through this?
Really, just one thing that I wish I had done, and it was put, I was very well aware of Shannon's 18th birthday coming up, and that the files would, be available to her if she sought them out. And I wish I had put a letter in there then for her to see when she did. It would have been 10 years later, but I thought about it, and it was just so, it was just so hard to put. I didn't know what I would say. I don't know. I just didn't make the commitment to do it. And I just wish she had found a letter from me in the file when she first approached.
Were you given that option, Jan? Did someone tell you you could do that?
Yes, they said,
Yeah.
the files are closed, but you can leave a letter there if you
That's
want.
nice. Well, at least they do that. And how great that this discussion is happening in case someone is going through this, they can say, I can leave a letter for my daughter.
And especially, reading the letters that you incorporated from Olivia and from Caitlin. It was interesting the way that you did this, sent them a draft and asked for their comments, and they wrote back. And that really, I think, added a lot of dimension to the whole story.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, because for those that are adopted out there, and if you're wondering if your birth mother thinks about you or has just forgotten you, that probably your birth mother thinks about you during those milestone birthdays, your birth dates, and those other things. And I think that's important for adoptees to know.
The antithesis of that, when there wasn't a letter, my perspective was, I'm so glad, because just like Jan said, that means she's good. Like she compartmentalized it, she put it away, she moved on, she's good. That's what I wanted. Like I wanted her to see this as an opportunity, not as a stopping point, and more as a jumping off point for her life. And I think that she did that. And again, Muffin and I were discussing this throughout reading the book, and then this morning, she prioritized me even after the fact. She continued her education. She became, in my opinion, the best person that she could be and was always supposed to be. I know when I was growing up, part of why I didn't go down a bad road is just my parents would have never allowed it. I don't think it's who I am, but also, like, what kind of example am I setting if this person sacrificed so exponentially for me and I threw it away? And so I needed to be a good person. That was one of the reasons. So had there been a letter, I'm sure I would have welcomed it and I would have a different perspective. But with there not being a letter, it just meant like she was living her life and doing her thing and thriving was my perspective. On the flip side of that, I did meet my birth father one time, and he was nice. He has been described to me by several people as the good time guy. He said, I celebrated your birthday every year, and I can remember cringing. It was not what I wanted at all.
Interesting.
I wanted him, like Jan, because it's how I would have treated it, I think, to put it away and make it a springboard, as opposed to revisiting every year. That felt like an open wound to me.
Oh, interesting.
And I worried that he never, I don't say never got over me, but that it was continually something that was revisited. Whereas for Jan, I saw it as, until we talked. And then one of the first questions I asked her was, in the non-identifying letter I got, it said the birth mother demanded 5 minutes alone with the baby before she would sign. That was a game changer to me, because I was impressed that at 16, she knew that she had one card she could play. She was going to play it. And like, this is how I'm going to do it. And that it was so finite. She was like, I want 5 minutes and that's all I want.
Mhm.
And I was really impressed with that. I asked her on our first phone call, I said, do you have any questions for me? And she said, why now? Why not when you were 18?
Oh, how much
And
longer was it? How old were
10
you?
years later.
Oh, okay. And what's your
And
answer?
I said, I just had my first son. She said, oh, you have children. And I said, big day. And I said, you went from childless to now mom and grandma in an hour. I said, how's that feel?
Oh my God. Classic.
And um, so she said, why not at 18? And I said, I didn't need it. After having a child, I realized how monumentous it is.
Mhm.
And then I just felt like she needed that.
Mhm.
I asked her, she said, do you have questions for me? And in that moment, you have no idea. Like your mind goes blank.
Mhm.
Um, and I said, in 5 minutes, what do you do? And that was the only time that she like got choked up. And she said, I hope you never have to know. And oh, I just remember thinking, I don't want to have to know ever what like your last 5 minutes are with anybody.
Mhm.
And in Jan and I talking about the book, she said it brought up some things that she had kind of forgotten about. So that was awesome that we were given this opportunity to read the book together
Mhm.
and kind of start to unpack some stuff. And so that's when she said she remembers not touching me. Um, and just saying, um, you know, be the best you can be and come find me one day. And um, I mean, Jan was far more eloquent when she told me about it years later. Just and like she's amazing. She's just amazing.
Yeah, I think each of you are amazing, and hearing this too
Yes.
is the knowing, grounded in truth, and that every individual person has a different experience and different needs of what they need to be able to be and become their best selves, really. And that is the life journey of trying to figure out how do we love each other, how do we care for each other, and learning. And we're going to make mistakes, and then to figure out how to not make those mistakes and to be able to heal from doing that.